So yo guys, literally on this video, I'm just going to talk about players in relegation bound teams that could play for the top 6. Now, in this video, I'm not going to talk about the top 6 as it is. I'm going to talk about the traditional top 6. So let's get straight to it. Let's start at the bottom team. Let's talk about Southampton. And let's first start with my guy, Aaron Ramsdale. So, I'm an Arsenal fan. He's a former Arsenal player. Let's just go straight through some of his credentials. PFA Team of the Year 22-23. Really good 2/3 of the season that season. Personally, of course, he's been in a lot of relegated teams. I do think he is definitely good enough to be in the Prem. But more than that, I think there's a few teams he could play for that have worse goalkeepers. For example, these two guys. Sorry, Chelsea, Man United did it. But Ramsdale's better than these two bobs, did it? Any day of the week. I think that you can get him for a decent price. I think he's better than these two. Do I think he'll start for the rest of the teams? I don't think so. But I do think that he's good to give competition for most goalkeepers when he's on his form. Of course, he has his concentration issues, but he's better than these two. Let's move on to another player from Southampton. Let's talk about Kyle Walker-Peters. Of course, I think, 28 years old. His contract's running out at the end of the season. I think he's very good at dribbling, holding on to the ball. Defensively, he's been quite good. Of course, he's been around. The fact that he's going on a free, a lot of teams could do with him. He could play on the left. He can also play on the right. I actually think he's a much better player now than he was at Tottenham. Of course, he had his issues back then. A couple really bad games. But I do think he's much more experienced. One of the teams, ironically, that I think would strengthen them for him, for having him on the team for at this price of free. Yeah, so I actually think he's better than Rico Lewis is right now. Of course, Rico Lewis has been playing in multiple positions as a kid. I do think Kyle Walker-Peters right now is more experienced than him, probably better defensively than him. And for a free, it's just, you can't, you're not losing much. I also think the fact that he's only on 20,000 a week, and I actually think he actually goes under the radar because of the team that he's at. So yeah, let's move to our final player at Southampton. So this is Matheus Fernandes. So I'm not talking about Bruno, I'm not talking about Enzo. But actually, he's a very good player. Most Southampton guys will tell you that he's actually having a decent season. He's only 20 years old. The guy averages 2.5 tackles a season. I actually think he's better than most bench centre mids in the top 6. I think he'd give competition for a lot of teams. I think because of his age and because of his potential, he'd actually be a good signing for a lot of the clubs. If I had to name top clubs off the top of my head, obviously Man United, the first team that come to my mind. Then also possibly Tottenham as well. I actually think that obviously Arsenal, with the players that we possibly could be losing in Partey and Jorginho, he could be another player that will partner with Moreno on that sort of bench. Moreno's not playing number 9, but I actually think he's a very good player. Chelsea as well, with the injuries that they have to players like Lavia, I do think that he's actually a very good player, especially defensively. He can actually also play at the 10, but I do think as a 6, that's probably where he shines a bit more. Let's move on to former Man City. No, I'm playing. Let's move on to Ipswich, who are actually 19th on the table. We're going to talk about Liam Delap, 22 years old. I mean, he's 6'4", I think. Having a very good season, 10 goals in 22. Now, I'm not saying he's great at passing, etc., but I actually believe that right now he's better than these 3 guys. Yeah, he's better than these 3 guys right now. You know what I mean? He's young. He's actually got more goals than I think all 3 of them. I'm not sure if it's combined. I actually think that he's got a lot of potential to get better. He might then go under the radar. I do think teams, I think West Ham, etc., will be interested in the summer, but he seems like a player that you could add to your team. I understand that most of the top 6 team want to go for already proven, but again, I'm just saying that he's a player that could get into the squad, and he is actually better than this guy, and currently this guy. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Lastly, we'll go into Leicester, and the first player that came up in my head, no, it wasn't Ndidi, though he's having a decent season. It is actually the goalkeeper, Mads Hermansen. I think I'm saying that correctly. 24 years old, excellent shot stopper. I think he has top 5 most saves in the league, I think. And I will always take the opportunity to say that these guys, then these 2 guys. Because these 2 guys, and I don't want to see no Chelsea or Man United guys in the comments saying anything because he's better than these 2 guys. I do think he would be quite cheap as they're going to get relegated, but he's also saved a penalty this season as well. I do think he's actually a good player, and he's one of the players that probably goes under the radar from people outside looking in. But I do think that goalkeeping is one of the weaker sides in some of the top 6 teams. So yeah, guys, this has been my video about players from relegation bound teams that could get into the top 6. Maybe it's in the squad or starting. Let me know what you think. comment down there, like, etc., all of that. But yeah, I'm gonna probably try and make some other videos around different sort of topics that I just think are interesting. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any extra players from Leicester, Ipswich, or Southampton that you think actually would start in some of the traditional top 6.